Good day, good love, and great light, illuminators and way showers. And thank you for joining us today on this very special occasion indeed. So this is a an impromptu oracle reading in honor of Dave's birthday. So to all of you beautiful Virgos out there, and if you are sharing a birthday today or not, this is in celebration of you and Dave. And so Dave chose the cards. He chose two decks, and then I chose a deck. And we're going to go through and he's going to pull a couple of cards and we're going to see what messages come up for him and for all of you tuning in.
Hi everybody, and this is my birthday reading, but it's really for all of you. If you're watching this, let us know if you get something out of this reading.
And happy birthday.
Thank you. So the first deck that I picked was the Isis Oracle.
Isis Oracle. And I was very surprised actually by both of the decks that he picked. So would you like me to shuffle for you as well?
There's one.
Okay.
I'm going to pick two out of this deck.
Okay, I'll turn them over. Okay. There's the back of the card. Another powerful image. So, the first card that you chose, which actually is kind of appropriate, the symbol is a temple of the black obsidian, the dark healing chamber. Ooh. Should we read and see what the dark healing chamber is? So the reason I said it was because of the Merkaba, that oftentimes I think of Dave. We have the Star of David in several places around the house, and so when I saw this, that's the first thing I thought of was the Merkaba, the Star of David, and being that today was Dave's birthday, and also Dave was born on his father's birthday, and
so happy birthday, Dad!
Yep. Mm-hmm. Temple of the black obsidian, the dark healing chamber.
Temple of the black 174. 174.
And I don't know enough about black obsidian to give any good information about that stone.
I guess I will just read this. I don't remember ever even getting this one before.
I don't believe we have.
Beloved initiate, the most challenging task is not to confront an external enemy, but to take courage in both hands and journey within, to meet our own dark self and begin the healing task of bringing love, acceptance, and light to it. That is the sacred purpose of any enemy, within or without, to bring us more deeply into our own being as we seek to find and heal the darkness within. The Temple of the Black Obsidian is a ruthlessly honest place of raw love and healing, truly profound and lasting. Deep relief and transformation can occur here. Black Obsidian is protective and revealing. It will prevent harm from external or internal forces, but it will also reveal that which has been lurking in the shadows of the self, trying to avoid being brought out into the open for the fear of condemnation. The biggest challenge we face in entering the Temple of the Black Obsidian is our own unwillingness to love and accept all parts of us. The initiate who is invited to enter the Temple of the Black Obsidian enters into his or her own shadow, a part of us that is hidden from our own awareness and is usually only experienced in relationship to others, quite often as projection. Lady Isis, as the dark priestess of the Temple of Black Obsidian, invites you now to confront the parts of your own ego that you have denied previously. Why? Because in doing so, you will gain more freedom, come to know yourself more wholly, and you will find that life experiences, opportunities, relationships, and breakthroughs that you have not been able to reach will suddenly become available to you.
Wow.
The dark chamber always leads to the light chamber, but one cannot avoid the initiation of the Temple of the Black Obsidian on the pathway to more light. Isis will assist you in preparing for this journey by encouraging you to not allow yourself to become your own worst enemy. Most of the fear we have before the dark chamber of healing is the fear of our own self-criticism and rejection. Isis declares that readiness for the dark chamber requires a willingness to exercise non-judgment, compassion, and a readiness to accept the self in all expressions. To safely enter the dark chamber and be healed, you must be prepared to give yourself love unconditionally. You must be able to recognize judgments that you hold toward yourself, not as truths, but as old patterning. This is why the successful initiation of the dark chamber is a truly advanced stage of soul development. The heart has become willing to love unconditionally, and the initiate must be able to witness feelings that arise with kindness and acceptance, but not fall into them, overwhelmed, crushed, or deflated by any darkness found within. It is worth the challenge because finding peace from pain, self-criticism, self-doubt, fear, and self-judgment through healing in this temple is a gift beyond measure.
Excellent message. Excellent message. And I was
Wow.
reminded too that we're just coming off of the new moon, also in Virgo. So we all each sign only gets one full moon and one new moon in our sign per year. So that is yours. That is Dave's. So this seeing and accepting ourselves completely and completely unconditionally. And I say, actually, Dave does a pretty good job of that himself. But obviously, there must be a message in there for you. Did anything particular like stand out for you or jump out at you?
Well, there's always more.
There's always
the
more.
journey never ends.
And that's what reminds me too of the Merkaba. Also, the journey never ends. We are always, we are always, we exist and we always exist, and that energy that we are is forever.
And certainly the idea of moving toward open contact, inviting and welcoming our family from the stars also requires you to embrace more of the unconditional love and get rid of the judgments. So certainly in perfect timing, this message comes to us.
So it invites us all in this time of great change, for all of us as humans to allow that Isis energy with us, into that healing chamber where we see everything and love every part of ourselves completely. And it's interesting, the next card, based on what you just said too, is Lady of the Stars, the Priestess of Sirius.
Sirius energy.
So here we have more Sirius energy, and also we've got the triangle here, which also represents Sirius energy. The Priestess of Sirius. And I'm feeling that I see this deep blue, this lapis lazuli energy coming off of this card as well. A very powerful image.
Sirius is a celestial goddess, a star of unconditional love and wisdom at an extremely high vibration. It brings deep soul awakening, spiritual gifts, and a high capacity for divine service. Lady of the Stars is also an empowerment of all other oracles in this deck. She tells you to pay attention because something significant is taking place right now. Sirian energy takes the inner path and the spiritual healing journey into a whole new stratosphere. It is a wise, ancient, and extremely high vibrational energy. It takes a certain level of soul evolution to be able to consciously register Sirian light and transmit it in this planet. The heart in question must be able to consciously cultivate unconditional love for it to occur. However, we could still receive Sirian light and healing assistance, even if we are still learning to be more consistently coming from unconditional love. We will feel it more and more strongly as we grow spiritually. But even in our learning phase, we could open up our hearts to this divine celestial goddess and allow her through her priestess, Lady Isis, to bless us with genuine spiritual gifts. Goddess Sirius, through her priestess, Lady Isis, is reaching to you now. She is offering a great spiritual support and a message that there is something significant that you need to be aware of in your life right now, too. Accepting celestial assistance and unconditional love of Sirius will help you now. To receive the assistance, you can choose to surrender to your heart and allow divine love to infuse and heal, direct and unfold all aspects of your life and growth. It is a total trust and surrender with absolute faith that even unexpected twists and turns will be leading you in the best direction. So there's a lot more, but I think that's good
That's
enough.
an excellent message.
And of course, the Syrians are assisting in the open contact idea,
and deeply connected too to, of course, the Isis and the pyramid energy.
in ancient Egypt.
And yes, in ancient Egypt, of course. And we just came through the Lion's Gate energy as well, the alignment of the sun and Sirius and
Atlantis, Atlan energy, and of course the whales and the dolphins, who are here to
absolutely
teach us about extraterrestrial contact.
And I think I've always felt deeply connected to that energy of that priestess of Sirius energy. And Dave and I definitely together have experienced a great deal of that ancient Egyptian energy together. Whatever that means, to us and how we interpret that energy.
As we talk about the stars, my second deck that I have picked.
You picked the Galactic Heritage cards.
That's an interesting one.
Okay. Wow. Number 41, Guilt. The Pleiades. Past. So just last night I woke up, it was probably right around 5 in the morning, just before that, and I was looking up at the stars, and I could see so easily Orion and the Pleiades, and I've been thinking a lot about the Pleiadians and being some of the first to greet us here on Earth. And this card, sorry about that. So the number's 41, or 5 if that resonates. And I will say, as soon as Dave said, "Oh, that's an interesting card," and guilt is probably one of the number one reasons for humanity's how do I want to say, self-doubt, lack of self-acceptance, and I for one have had this card come up in my own dark healing chamber, the idea of guilt, and how when we simply change a definition about something that's more in alignment with our heart's core vibration, we begin to see guilt, I should say, not just in a different way, but we begin to see its lack of being able to be in the now when we're experiencing guilt. And that's certainly for myself, that usually guilt is something that we're seeing about something that we don't love about ourselves, that we have not accepted completely about ourselves, or that we have defined a particular circumstance, situation, where we are experiencing guilt. And there's a lot of threads that go into this, because Dave and I have talked about this too, about the idea of how does creating our reality right now, creating our past right now, and how does guilt play into that? How does understanding that if we're creating everything from the now and we're creating our past from the now, that any guilt that we feel is also being created in the now. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not for a particular lesson, soul's lesson. But yet, if we really begin to understand that we're creating our now, our past from the now, and that guilt is a belief system based upon a definition that is not in alignment with our higher self. Let's see what the author has to say about the Pleiades
I mostly don't have to read it. In the ancient days, well-intentioned actions by the Pleiadians ended up causing a whole planet to be destroyed. Since that time, they have held a tremendous amount of grief and guilt as a species. They've healed a lot since then, but many humans still carry these patterns. Look deeply at the things in your life that you feel guilty about. The wisdom you have now can create compassion in your heart. Let that compassion flood the wounded part of you. Let the love from the universe fill that part of you where the guilt still lives. Let it go. All is forgiven by the universe. Now you must forgive yourself.
That right there. Now you must forgive yourself.
It's also a very archetypal card because most humans deep inside have a sense of guilt that stops them from living fully and accepting the love and joy in their reality. It's a nagging feeling of not deserving love, abundance, and joy, and feeling selfish for accepting it. This nagging feeling is often unconscious and can only be seen through deep self-examination, or going through
the chamber, right?
Chamber. Religions often play on this human condition of guilt, and by reinforcing it, some religions can keep humans under control and believing in the way of the religion as the only thing that can absolve the guilt. But the truth is that we have all fragmented from Source, and underlying all the physical lives that we may have had in countless star systems, we are equal in the eyes of the Creator. This transformational energy of this card asks you to look deep within for any feelings of guilt or unworthiness that might keep you from fully embracing love, abundance, and joy in your life. Once you can identify it, most likely not intellectually, but through a feeling or a sense, begin to love that part of you unconditionally until it no longer needs to use guilt as a way to stop you from embracing the magnificence of your being. It took a long time for the Pleiadians to heal this issue with their species. Let their wisdom guide you so their past suffering and the lessons learned from it can be a gift to all of humanity.
I'm just looking at this color too, and how I'm sort of wearing these hues, and it's interesting as I was looking at the image too. It looks as if the being is sort of, you know, how we bow when we're feeling guilty, as if we don't deserve to be happy because of something that we believe we have caused, and it does prevent us from seeing the beauty of the now and living fully in the moment. And I was just thinking about the Pleiadians and how if we're all still carrying those pieces of that idea, and how the first thing I'm hearing from sources is there's absolutely nothing that anything in creation could ever do that would promote a sense of guilt in any being. Source doesn't feel that way about us. And that goes at any us, meaning an entire civilization. Imagine, Source looking on at humanity, and we think about, we're also, all of us, I think, on some level, collecting the collective guilt of humanity, of the things that even we may be embarrassed to say that we're capable of doing as humans. And yet, just as the Pleiadians, I believe that we collectively are also have shifted into the learning of that, moving through that destructiveness, and yet also imagine being responsible for the destruction of an entire planet and the healing that would need to the healing that the process would need to happen to sort of
And I look at these things now in a little different way, because time doesn't really exist, and time is really an illusion, and everything is really now. While we may have parallel lives, for instance, as a Pleiadian, and be participating in things that might have caused planetary destruction, however that might be, I sort of look at it as this is an opportunity to connect with those feelings and those ideas. And it's sort of a gift that we have, that we're able to channel Pleiadians and talk about these things. And the author of these cards, Lisa Royal Holt, talks about a lot of these things and has a number of different books that she's written based on channeling of information. But there's a lot of people that channel the Pleiadians specifically. We have made ourselves in the position now where we're all connected more to more of ourselves. And instead of having to look deep inside ourselves to find the pain that we have from a previous incarnation and heal that, I think that the new way of looking at that is connecting with those ideas, understanding that we contain it all, we've experienced it all in some way, shape, or form, even if it's through connection with others, and choosing, let's just say, a higher road, a different way of looking at things, is the healing that we're providing not only ourselves and letting go of those ideas for ourselves, but we're also sharing those perspectives and ways that we're looking at things and solutions to things in a new way, that's sharing those other versions that are going through that in their now. And that allows them to create a new reality, move to a reality that they prefer. And just like that's happening with us, where other extraterrestrial, through mostly channeling of some sort, are letting us know about how things can go wrong for us, and we need to choose to create the reality that we prefer. They're sharing examples with us about that to give us, ideas in our own imagination about how we could go about doing that. And we're doing the same thing. For the card says the past, but the past is just another version of now. So
excellent.
That's sort of how I look at that. And for me, this is a reminder too that even within our own lives, guilt that we might have from the past is also similar to a version of just a past life. We create our past from the present, and we decide from that past what do we want to bring through to the present, and of that, what do we want to project toward the future. And regardless of what you think you might have participated in, you're always new in every moment. You're always redefining yourself as a newer, entirely newer being. And the person that you are now wouldn't necessarily act in the same manner as the person that you're connecting to in the past. That's just simply not you anymore. And there's no reason to bring that through, because you also have the spiritual more enhanced ideas about how you would do something now, which was completely different than you might have done in the past. And all of those things benefit not only all that is, but all of the all of the all that is that exist.
That's and as you're talking, of course, I'm seeing my own guides are giving me information and downloads and visions, and And I'm seeing the idea of the parallel realities, and so we all are connecting to. We have an oversoul of parallel versions of ourselves that are completely different from one another, and having different timelines, if you will, um, and how each of those are sort of sharing this idea of guilt throughout these different parallel realities, and some of which they don't experience that at all, because they don't that version of you does not that version of you is at a point already. As Dave said, the past and the present and the future are all now. There's a future or a parallel version of you that has already moved through these ideas and understands these concepts, and how each of those realities learn and react and respond from the different sharings of that idea of guilt, and how on an oversoul level, how it learns through, and how source learns also how we process these beliefs and ideas, and how our actions and our lives are affected by, not even affected, I want to say completely a mirror of those beliefs. So there's a lot of threads that go into this too, because then if we can imagine each and every one of those fractals of us also have an infinite number of fractals, that's where it gets really, really interesting about how we pass this information through our consciousnesses.
Yeah, and I want to just add that with the idea of the guilt from the past, that when you are letting go of guilt that you might feel that you have from something from the past, it's not condoning the actions that took place. And it's the same thing about forgiveness of others from the past. It's not saying that those things were okay, or that you are condoning those things. You're merely saying those are reflections and serve their purpose, and they don't need to continue those ideas energetically from this point forward. They've done their job. We can't understand the orchestrations and agreements that took place for some of those things to happen, that we might say that, that's terrible, or that happened to this person, or that happened to that person, or groups of people. We can't understand what the purpose of those things were, because everything is a divine orchestration. But just because we feel guilty about some of those things, and that could also include feeling guilty about what other people did, and that maybe you didn't step up to say something or do something.
Yes.
That might not be the same person that you are now, and you might even decide, if you want to think about these things, that the reaction that you did back then that you feel guilty about might still be the same thing that you do today, but you're just looking at it a little bit differently. You might understand a little bit better that was a better way to respond. Maybe it was by doing nothing. Maybe the doing nothing is the higher consciousness way of allowing that to play out however it's going to play out between the people involved. So, and if you feel now that you would do something, now you're that person, and you've grown from that experience even by doing nothing. So, and everybody's always watching. So, whether you like it or not, the the entire universe is learning from every single thing that you say, think, and do.
And I'm getting the message also that so many of us feel guilty about moving forward in our spiritual lives if we're if our we feel so guilty about wanting to follow our hearts, wanting to move in a particular direction because we feel too guilty because it's the only way we've ever known. We can't leave this person. That we believe that um, we forget and are reminded that everyone is a sovereign being having their own soul's travels, and so many of us will feel guilty about not wanting to follow our hearts because of what we believe we are either leaving behind or what consequences we may be leaving, and the guilt that comes with wanting to follow your heart. And I think that is a huge message for us this year, especially as so many of us are being guided to move in the direction of our hearts, move in the direction, and it could be maybe you're being guided to leave a circumstance, leave a place, leave a person, to follow your heart and your dreams.
Or to act on your passions.
Exactly, to act on your passions. They're reminding us guilt in that is not, I don't want to say it's not serving us, because of course everything serves us, but if you're not following your passion and your heart and your guidance because of guilt, that is a message for all of you, all of us today, to simply, as it said, let it go. Let that go and follow what you know you need to do for yourself. And I, for one, have followed that path, and that part of that story, the guilt part of that story, is something that I too have been. That has been one of my, diving into the chambers, if you will.
And I want to share one other idea. I know this is supposed to be a reading for me, but this is my
It
highest
is your highest
segment.
joy. This is your reading.
Sometimes, and I want to speak specifically about following your joy and passion, where the idea of the thing that you're really excited to do or play with seems sort of ridiculous, or I'll just give you an example. Let's say you always wanted to be a painter, and you're not really that good at it. You've never really done it before, and you can't understand how becoming a painter could possibly warrant quitting your job. And how is that all going to pan out? How are you going to make money? How are you going to pay the bills? Typically, becoming a painter is very difficult, and these are also, I'm saying belief systems,
right.
Not necessarily mine, but a lot of people have bought into those ideas. But the thing that most people don't understand is that when you're acting in your highest joy and excitement, you're a cooperative component in the synchronicities that will allow other things to happen that might have nothing at all to do with being the painter, being the artist, quitting your job and struggling. They allow the other things to happen to not only help yourself take you in another direction for something even better, but also others. So in service to others also means by following your intuition and your highest joy and excitement, you're being a cooperative component in all the synchronicities to occur in the path of least resistance for everybody else to join in their highest joy and excitement in a easier way that otherwise might be taking the long road. And as it has been said before, sometimes you think the fastest path is a straight line, but it never usually is. So,
and it's interesting again, of course, as you're talking, I'm getting the visual downloads of how many of us do something in our lives and we don't often realize, as you said, it could be for somebody else completely. Like what I thought of when you said quit your job is, you know, maybe just by you following that action, you are actually being the vibration of the person that someone else needs to see following their highest joy and excitement, because you might be the one who is the responsible for, in a sense, catapulting this other person to follow their highest joy and excitement because they watched you do it, and that they saw you do it, whether you did it boldly and wild or scared, whichever way, but they're admiring it, and we change each other's lives often without even knowing. And then we think, well, why am I going through this, or why am I doing this? And maybe sometimes it is simply for the benefit of someone else.
yeah, you could not really like your job that much and decide to quit, and now you're opening up a position whose highest joy and excitement is to do that job that they're getting to now. At least for the moment, they think it's their highest joy and excitement. Maybe they're going to get the job and find out, hey, that's not for me either. But whatever, you're providing a service to everyone, and you don't even realize most of the time the extent of that. And that's why you get these ideas of excitement to follow. And and going back to the card, don't feel guilty about those things.
Right.
Because you don't even understand how big a service you're doing, and to how many people that might be for.
Well, that card just simply flipped right over. So I don't okay. You never know. I'm just sitting here shuffling along, just and yes, it's the same thing. I think about things that have happened in my own life where other people were affected, and I carried a lot of guilt because of that. But again, they are gods also, finding out they're gods, and then so I have to remember everybody's going to be okay. Remember that everybody's going to be okay. It you need to do you, and everything, including you, is going to be okay.
And when you look at those other people that you think are being affected badly by your actions, what you're really doing is you're inviting into your universe the version of them that isn't happy about it, because there's a version of them that they're perfectly fine, but you're inviting into your experience the version that you are saying it should be. And the question is, why would you want to create another person being unhappy with something that you did when you're just projecting that upon the situation? Because you don't have to project that upon the situation, and you're not going to get a reflection of that. And as far as you see, whatever action that you thought you were doing that was not that good, by following your highest joy and excitement, as long as you're doing it in a way that isn't hurtful to others,
yes, to you or someone else.
To you or someone else. Any bad reflection that you're getting back is caused by your inner beliefs. So
And there is, again, is what we put out is what we get back, and really what that means is what we believe is what we see in our reflection of our creation.
You see.
Well, it's interesting because both of these cards kind of flew out, and the first one was spring. See your seeds grow. And I realized that as we're moving into autumn here, the southern hemisphere is moving into spring. And so it was interesting that, see your seeds grow. So as we're talking about this now, the things that we're discussing, see your seeds grow. One, when you can visualize the thing that you are excited to do and you can see that seed grow, now you've just created a whole new reality for yourself of possibilities. And as we were just talking about earlier, the finding, being in alignment with all of those synchronicities, and seeing your seeds grow, seeing your visions become your reality, and
choosing to have a physical reality is all about being able to see the seeds grow.
And like the letting go of the guilt, and these things like are like, those are the seeds that are growing within all of us as we begin to allow and embrace everything to exist, and allow our darkness to be a part of all that we are, and we become relaxed and at ease with ourselves, and we love ourselves. We begin to see these new seeds growing. And what's interesting about that whole idea too about following your highest joy and excitement is when that other person, you're allowing somebody else to see their seeds grow by you sowing yours. And what a succession garden that creates in humanity. And what I found interesting was then the next card that came through was winter. So, we are also now moving, closer into our winter, and take care of your needs. And that's the wolf card. That's me, the wolf card. And we have the bunny rabbit. We are always all. The sun keeps changing here, so our light goes in and out. Just like the seasons. So no matter where you are, whether it's, winter or spring or summer or fall, whatever you're experiencing.
A mosquito visiting me.
I know they're... And as I'm seeing too, like we plant our seeds, and then we have the overwintering time where we have reaped in our harvest. We're taking care of our needs. We have an inner winter season and an inter spring season. Yet the thing is that these are always happening all the time. So we're always setting our seeds, and then we're also nurturing those seeds, and then we are watching the beauty of what we have produced. And so, and by taking care of our needs, we, like these things, like our spiritual needs, by taking care of our needs, it allows us to more easily see the seeds that are already growing all around us. There's a lot of messages kind of flooding through. And I'm really hearing strongly even what you said about the painter, which is funny because I've been painting. But by taking care of those spiritual needs, you're able to actually plant new seeds. And
I'll take this one step further.
Go ahead. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't even share with you. This was the angels and ancestors.
So sometimes you might plant some seeds and are waiting for them to grow, and they don't really seem to be growing that well. But you can choose to have the same amount of joy in watching other people's seeds grow, because there are no other people. They're also your seeds. So just because they might not be growing in your garden, in your yard, house, farm, whatever, doesn't mean they're not growing. And if you're seeing, other people's seeds growing, be it actual seeds or other people who are following their highest joy and excitement, have some success in that, that's part of your creation also. And that is a reflection that you are putting out and receiving back. So even though you might not look at it as being your success, it has to be your success, because otherwise you wouldn't be seeing it. So
valid, very valid perspective, as all are, of course. And yes, we, of course, this was once again a very spontaneous reading. Dave was like, I said, well, what do you want to do next for your birthday? And he's like, well, how about a reading? And I was like, okay, well, we'll do a reading then. And so we decided to record it for all of you as well. So we do hope that some of these messages that you recognize, how they may serve and benefit you. And I think I'd like to close this off. This card just turned itself over. The broken arrow. Embrace the energy of peace. And I will say that all of this is all about embracing the energy of peace within us. And I will also say that I don't know if it's being a Virgo or if it's just Dave, but I don't think I've ever met anybody who has really embraced this vibration of peace and grace more than Dave. And he has taught me also and helped me, embrace an energy of peace within myself, and helping me recognize, those places in my own chamber, and finding peace within myself, and helping to remind me too of all of these things that we've talked about today. And so for that, I'm very grateful.
And I'm reminded by a conversation we had last night, a little bit different, but the same thing. Peace is within all of us. It's there.
That's our natural state.
All you have to do is decide to choose it, and it's there available to you. You don't have to find it. You don't have to work at it. You don't have to take all kinds of actions. You just have to decide, I choose peace. And things that are in your belief systems that are contrary to that will present themselves, but you could just say, no, thank you, I choose peace. That I don't thank you for showing me that I have a belief that is against the idea of peace, because there are a lot of belief systems that unless you think really hard about how they work, you wouldn't associate them with the thing that you're after. But if they're showing up, they're part of it. And you could just decide, no thank you, that belief system.
I like that.
I'll put it in my pocket
I
for
choose
if I need
peace.
it later, but I choose peace.
When we feel that way about ourselves, or something that we've done or that somebody else has done, and we start to feel that feeling that we get, I like that. And it does seem so simple, doesn't it? But I choose peace. I can think about that right now, but for now I choose peace, which means I will find a way to redefine this situation or circumstance in a new way, and in this new moon, and in this peaceful, loving, harmonious energy of Virgo, who is the only feminine sign in all of the star signs of our zodiac. It is the only one that is the symbol for the feminine energy and Earth. It is the symbol of Earth, the symbol of the wheat, seeds, growth, seasons, and to embrace all of our cycles and to choose peace within ourselves. And this has been an extraordinarily lovely and healing message for me as well. And we would be remiss if we didn't end this beautiful reading with a light language blessing to crystallize this peace within all of us, to embrace the beauty that we all are. Liyama ato koshame vasame intela ejano kojivisma ichana kiteala azunu mayoro mayabakete e larjo makiaba nemala itavikamoro batakia samashala vasanako tiva intaya toshu shavishimada vismala vasmaro akotokokia malavasmata vismalo vakashapa ontoro a anta ashana shivishma kiavatspolo shaki Sapa sapati visama savalashono amoro oto kotuba asanapali ajano koisha tapala katiano sopasha ilijo kotu amiala aikiata niaso niasoto
Hua hani e ka ane ro tua ne ati e ka ane ata aia ka ana e ata ana tu ata aia ka ana ne o tua a ane e a ka a ne ata ana tu ane e a na aia ka ana te e te tua tu ne ata ai ka na ai waha ne ata tu ane a nu ata.
atiasho.
And thank you for all the birthday wishes that I've received and may be receiving. And thank you for making one of my birthday wishes come true. And what would a birthday be without an oracle card reading and light language and wonderful channeling? Love you all.
Bless you all. Until the next time. Yalakashonoto.